I say today, for a change of pace, we podcast. That's a fun way to say it, right?
Let's do it. That was really good. It was sensitive.
Thanks.
Okay, what do you have
Thank
for
you.
me? Do you have anything for me?
I do. Pete, last week I shared my anxiety about virtual reality. Do you remember that?
I do.
We went through all that stuff.
Yeah.
And how it could be used in our future. And the week before, our listener submission was about anxiety about being able to trust what your therapist says and thinks about you, right?
I can already tell this is going to be a doozy of an episode.
Well, this week, I want to smash those two ideas together in the cold open. Do you want to hear how?
Yeah, I do.
This actually goes back to 2015, but, what's time? Spanish university professor Sofia Adelaide Osimo and 3 other colleagues released a paper they wrote on VR psychology experiments that they led. Here's how the VR app worked, and it actually went on to win a Spanish App Award. I think they're called the Spanies that year for Best App. Here's how it works. You sit in a chair. This is all virtual. You sit in a chair facing Dr. Sigmund Freud, that old creep. Upon entering the virtual environment, you do not float in empty space as one often does in VR. Rather, you notice you have a full virtual body that looks like you. They're able to design it so it looks like what you're wearing, and it responds to your movements. This may lead you to identify the virtual body as your own, an almost magical phenomenon referred to as virtual embodiment. So all of that is just a bunch of words to say you kind of feel like you're you. Okay. Instead of like you're a zombie or you're fighting things. It's as much as you're you in this room as possible.
Okay.
You sit down across from Dr. Freud and you share your anxieties and your struggles. He asks you, do you have a problem? Yes, what's your problem?
Please.
As Sigmund Freud constantly did. Like, what's up this time?
What do you want now?
You share your anxieties and then the screen fades out. And then the lights come back on and you're in the exact same virtual world, but now you're on the other side of the room. You are Sigmund Freud, and your patient is you, an avatar that still looks like you and sits just where you were just sitting a couple minutes ago. You watch yourself start talking as a recording of what you just shared plays. Quoting from a Medium article about this by Joaquim Vindenez, you get to view your statement in a new way, a 3D model of yourself saying it while you were virtually embodied elsewhere. You get to view yourself from the outside. Instead of taking the role as yourself, you take the role as your own psychologist in virtual reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sounds very much like what might be the sequel to your favorite movie, Jacob's Ladder.
Pretty much, where nothing makes sense and everyone's heads are shaking too much. But the idea is, it's called, in therapy, this is called subjectivity objectivity inversion. Mm-hmm. And apparently it really works because you're able to see yourself outside of yourself. You're able to see yourself and listen to yourself as others would hear you instead of all of the voices screaming in your head all the time.
You knew the answer all along.
You knew the answer was always inside of you. Exactly. Professor Osimo said, quote, "This form of embodied perspective taking can lead to sufficient detachment from habitual ways of thinking about personal problems so as to improve the outcome and demonstrates the power of virtual body ownership to affect cognitive changes." I don't like that last sentence, but the first part makes a lot of sense. Being able to, it's like that, what is that phrase? If only you could see yourself as I see you.
If only you could see what I've seen through your eyes. That's Blade Runner.
Oh, no. What I'm saying is everything disappears like rain. No, like the idea of how you're always so mean to yourself and you're always mean to yourself and you can't listen to yourself. This is a way of doing it. And apparently it might work. And it was 2015. I haven't seen it show up anywhere.
Well, maybe it was because you only find it in malls, in those like pop-up stores, which actually closed down after last year.
It's just a bunch of therapy things.
I feel like
I'd be afraid that when I was Sigmund Freud, I'd be like, that guy looks junky. That's me. I would just still crap on myself.
The call is coming from inside the house, Tom. It always has been.
Welcome back to What's That Smell? A sometimes funny podcast about humans and their anxieties. I'm Tommy Metz III.
And I'm Pete Wright.
And every week, We each drag one of our deepest anxieties into the light to share it, learn about it,
and hopefully laugh about it with all of you.
But who cares about all of our anxieties when you have all of your shivers to share? Why don't you reach out and share it with us? Go to whatsthatsmell.net, and there's a great big button that says something like donate your anxieties. It's a weird way to say it. But either way, if you send us whatever you want us to talk about, we will research it and talk about it, and you will realize you are not alone, as we realize. Pete, good luck with us not being alone this week. Let's see how it goes. Because with all that, I'll go first. Peterita, this is the 8th episode of our 7th season.
Mm-hmm.
And that means we've recorded what, like 900 episodes
so
far?
many
episodes. So many episodes. To honor that, with your and the court's permission, I would like to try to do something a little different for this episode. Trust me, it is not a trap. This is not a dream. It is not a visualing exercise. This is nothing like that. I would like to bring up a past memory of mine that is very personal just to me, in the hopes that others might relate to it in their own terms. I would like to recall a painful memory in an attempt to exorcise it after all these years. And that doesn't mean dumbbells. It means Linda Blair. Okay, so this was years... Ugh, I'm already uncomfortable.
You're doing great, Tom.
Thank you. This was years and years and years ago. And I was at a wedding in Mexico. And actually, it was the day before the wedding was planned to happen. And we were all, like the entire wedding party and all the friends and the family were all out on a hike together.
Wait a minute. Can I just do a quick callback? Because 4 episodes, you told us about yet another wedding you went to where you just walked. And you tried to convince me that your New England walkabout was not a standard wedding thing. And yet here, 4 episodes later, we're now in Mexico at a wedding and we're walking. You must atone, sir.
I like to call them hikes. I'm actually just trying to find the wedding. I never was invited. So it's just me wandering around the countryside being like, I brought a gift.
That's accurate.
Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
Does that check
Perfect.
out?
Okay. That's better. Yeah, thank you.
So we were all on a Mexican hike. And it was a mix of some of my absolute oldest friends, some that I've had and still have since the 4th grade. And I might be conflating this with another wedding, to be honest, because apparently all I do is go to weddings and walk around. Like you just put, yeah. There was a worry about flooding or something. The idea is that the wedding was planned for the next day, but it was in jeopardy. Like the place that we were going to have it, or the venue or something was a problem. And the bride-to-be and the groom-to-be were in negotiations with the venue. There was a lot of mental scrambling around while we were all on this hike. Anyway, so like there's 24 people and we're all at a resting space with benches. Can't be what it's called. Like what? Like a resting area?
A rest stop?
I guess a walking rest stop.
I think you could just call it a bench. We all stopped at a bench. I think it's okay.
But everyone's just sort of all seated around and we're all chilling. And I remember there was some sort of lookout perch, like you would walk up a dozen stairs and you could get a view because we were on top of the whole mountain. That becomes important later. Anyways, we were all there and the bride-to-be showed up, surprisingly, explained that they'd been working on this potential problem and happily announced to everyone that they were going to get married that day instead. We were moving the entire wedding up. It was and she was very excited about it.
That interrupts a lot of walking when you flip a change in the schedule like that.
Treadmills for all the groomsmen so I could just keep my pace up.
And the bride and groom walk down the aisle and just keep walking. I get it. They just are walking two treadmills side by side.
They're just all they just kept upping the ramp. Yeah.
Yes.
So she says, "We're getting married today," and everyone cheered. And for some reason that I will never understand, I thought I joined in. I think it was legitimate. Well, no, we'll get to that in a second.
I just need to tell you what my experience is right now. Oh. Like everyone cheered and then you sighed and I felt panic well up inside me. Like
right,
I caught a breath.
Slightly painful.
Something awful is about to happen.
It was awful for me. Everyone cheered. It was a moment that everyone was together. And for some reason I will never understand, I thought I'd join in to make a joke. And I yelled, "And I'm going to get married too." What?
Oh my God.
Yeah, you're covering your face.
Oh my God.
I don't know what I thought the joke was, but it was very loud. And it was right when everyone was focused because I was sort of standing next to her. And it was Dead silence.
They thought you were going to. Oh, my God.
I don't know. And so I whispered to myself, I remember this, I went, damn it. to myself, because I knew I just blew it in front of everyone and potentially messed up what could be like a normal, meaningful memory.
What did you do?
Everyone just stared at me like I pooped in the wedding cake, which I did, but that's a different story. And I heard one of my closest friends in the world, they were all at a table, mutter, oof, risky. Oof, risky. I'm not going to name this person, but he also coined the phrase crazy, crazy, crazy.
It's the only thing
it's the
I thought
exact
of
same
right now.
person. He said, oof, risky. And another one of my closest friends in the entire world, I heard him quietly say, it doesn't always have to be about you. Ow.
Oh, no.
And I died inside. I kept up because, as you sort of do, I was smiling and I just sort of walked up those stairs to the viewing area because I just needed to be alone. And I didn't know the words for it then, but I think I inherently knew that I was forming like a core memory. Like I had just given myself a psychic scar, that I'd scarred my brain with something that I would never be able to forget because it was so mortifying. It hit me right in the need for people to like me and being called out for it. I took an ill thought out risk and it blew up in my face in front of loved ones and strangers alike. Pete, this week.
I can't let this go.
You can't let this go. You have got something.
This may be the worst story you've ever told about yourself. I love you so much, but what you just described is a wedding between Megan Fox and some other handsome person, and you, played by Jake Johnson.
Right?
It's not always about you.
It's not always about you.
Oh my God, Tom.
I'm the graduate. Yeah. Pete, this week I bring to you nemophobia, the irrational and excessive fear of memories.
Oh my God. That was a hell of a lead up for this one, Tom.
Thank you. People suffering nemophobia may fear having memories in general, or they specifically fear certain bad memories. It must be said, just as a side note, nemophobia can also fear losing their memories, like with Alzheimer's disease, but we're not dealing with that right now. Now, I'm going to turn it over to you in a second, but a few disclaimers before we go forward. Rest assured, know that I've done way worse things than this wedding incident in my life that I regret and I'm horribly embarrassed by. Like that time I got caught lying to my parents about grades in college. But I wanted to focus in on this one because rationally, it is so fleeting and unmemorable to everyone but me.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. And some of the people that were there listened to our podcast and they probably would be like, oh, right. I barely remember that. And yet the scar it left is so weirdly deep. And I think about it like once a week. I cannot get away from it. And secondly, I've brought it up to my wonderful therapist, Bonnie, more than once. And she has asked me more than once, can you forgive yourself? And the answer, Pete, is apparently no.
No.
Absolutely
We're going to do
not.
a tight 20 on it right now.
Yeah. Guess what? Parole denied. So, yeah, I guess it's nemophobia, but it's also the idea. I don't know if it's an official term, but I call them psychic scars. Just those things that you cannot get away from.
Yeah.
They show up a lot in the middle of the night. They show up when I'm very vulnerable. Like if I feel like I'm being attacked by anxiety in a bunch of different sides all at once, that's when I'm at my most vulnerable or fragile. And then that'll show up. And I'm like, I legitimately have things to worry about. I don't have time to worry about this decade-old marriage thing that no one remembers but me, but it's just there.
But I'm going to ask an assumptive question to you right now. How many times has this memory woken you up in the middle of the night?
I don't know if I'd go that far that it's woken. Well, I guess I can't tell because I'm just thinking about it in the middle of the night. So maybe it did wake me up and I don't remember the wake up. It's not like I'm there at the aforementioned resting bench place. And I'm like, like, it's not like I'm waking up from a nightmare, but it just sneaks in and I just feel shame. And then it starts doing that cool synaptic connecting to other things. All the times that I've been like when I was bullied growing up from showing off. You're such a show off and you're such a this. And then it connects to everything that everyone has ever told me about being too loud, being too showy, wanting too much attention, wanting people to like me too much. I
And
mean,
suddenly it's like, oh, crap, I'm still doing this. This is
right.
still a part of me that I haven't gotten out
Yes.
from under. Will
This is
this
still a
always
part
be?
of me.
I
Yeah.
mean, this just hits such a slam dunk for me. I absolutely have this. And I asked the question about waking up because for me,
Yeah.
those particular memories are the memories that wake me up in the middle of the night, that I will continue to dream about them when I'm under periods of stress, and they will wake
Oof.
me right up, and I'll feel like I just lived them again and again
Yeah.
and again. It's horrifying. And I never really put I guess I never really attempted to describe what that anxiety was, but nemophobia really hits it, right? It's that is a persistent terror of having to relive this uncomfortable experience in my dreams. And
Right.
I
Your
guess
brain becomes a minefield.
yeah, it really does.
And that sucks. Yeah.
And I guess I feel like I understand what Bonnie is saying, but I uh, boy, any therapist listening is gonna say, like, Pete, stop being an idiot. But my thing would be like, how could I possibly forgive myself for the magnitude of idiocy in that moment that it's going to cause
Right.
me to, like, how could I possibly forgive myself? Well,
Yeah.
apparently you just do. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I did do some research, but I still want to just marinate in the
Yeah.
sadness that is this
Oh,
for a second. I mean, I speak very fast, and I sometimes make jokes very fast.
that's
And a
true.
lot of times that works to my advantage.
Mhm.
I can be known as a very quick person.
Yeah.
And there's an enormous negative part of that, of what, because
When
it
the
was a big
oh,
swing.
when the brakes go out.
When
Yeah.
the brakes go out, there's no runaway truck ramp for my
Yeah.
stupid mouth. And yeah, just, I'm getting married too. I can
That's-
see a world where people would also be like, haha, yay, what an idiot. But we're all in this together. And then let's all do a high five. But
Yeah.
instead, there's not enough lead in the world for that balloon. And
Yeah. There are two things
it was a
going on.
disaster.
Like for me,
Yeah.
the other thing going on for that for me is that it's something we've talked about before, which is the ADHD over talking, that kind of part of me that I live with, where I feel like you just said it, like there's no runaway truck ramp from my stupid mouth. Like when it just won't stop and I can't figure it out, and everything to me is funny right until the second after I say it. Right? And
Like
so
you see the potential in everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like all opportunity for comedy. Like it's all there, and I could just chew on every word, and then I say it and realize should have workshopped that a little bit more. Right? So
Yeah.
that's the first one, is like living in that moment, and where the terror is real, resonant, and present. And then the second part is reliving it and not being able to let it go, which
Right.
drives, I think, for me, the fear of reproducing it again unconsciously, right? Like I might
because
be
it's
like, I keep
like you're
reliving
keeping
this.
it at the front of
Yeah.
your head.
Yeah.
And so it might happen again.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got like, why
Sure.
would you ever go to a wedding again? Because you are a risk to yourself and to important events.
Yeah. I know. And I've officiated 4 of my friends' weddings. I didn't officiate this one. I was supposed to officiate it. They were like, you're fired.
I
No.
am now pronounced you husband and wife. I'm
And
getting married too.
I throw the Bible into the cake. I was like, why did I think that would be a good punchline?
Can't even read the room, man.
I could not. That was the problem. We were at a resting bench place. It was too hard to read the room.
A resting bench.
One thing that I did find out, and maybe this is so clear to everyone, but I didn't exactly know this. Why are bad memories so much more vivid?
Mm-hmm.
The amount of good memories over bad memories that I have is so outweighed towards the good, but those are all kind of fuzzy. It may occur, said this one website, to negativity bias, which refers to our brain giving more importance to negative experiences. It might be from evolution, again, lizard ape time, as it may have been beneficial for helping our ancestors remain cautious when in dangerous areas. You know what I'm kind of done with? caveman times. I'm told so much that so much of my unhappiness is because back in the cave times, we needed to see more green because of tigers. And you're like, that's why I have diarrhea. Like, shut up. Get over it. I have a cell phone. Why is part of my brain still like, you gotta climb a tree at all times? And it's like, I don't have to climb a tree. I have a Mazda.
It's like that caveman Amber Alert.
Yes. Why is there's nothing hiding in my apartment? And yet there's this one part of me that's like, hey, that might be a leopard. And I'm like, it's a toaster. Let's level up, everybody. I'm done with ancestors and cave people. But that might be part of the reason, is that it's remembering the bad. And then if you take that, then that's a working, I guess, to force it, like as a warning, think before you speak.
Yeah, right.
Or like you said, don't go to weddings, don't leave your apartment.
Watch out for
is
curbs.
Also a part of it. Watch out for curbs. Oh God, I'm so afraid of everything. Yeah.
But you know what's interesting? I just started
Please.
typing in nemophobia because I'm so curious about it. I needed to see it written. I guess I didn't believe you. And the other thing that comes up is the opposite of nemophobia. I think we've mentioned it on the show. Athazagoraphobia. Does that ring a bell? Over the last 15 years we've been doing this?
Athazagoraphobia. I don't know. That does sound maybe.
Is that a Tom
familiar.
Lehrer song you were just singing? Is that did we miss one? No, it is the intense or irrational fear of being forgotten.
Oh. Let's not talk about that anymore because that's mine for next week. Is it weird to like immediately trademark an anxiety?
There's like did you just call it dibs?
Yeah, did you just say Tomophobia? Because my fear of abandonment is right next to my fear of being forgotten.
Yes, yeah. And the reason I bring it up, and I'll allow this as a segue for you to talk about Tomophobia next week if you'd really like to, which is that it is those moments that drive you to take those big swings at weddings, right? I think like that's your showmanship, because if that had worked,
I'm planting a flag. Yeah.
If that had worked, it would have made you legendary from that wedding, right?
Right.
It didn't play.
That's interesting. It didn't play,
but
it was a swing.
I have been a part of bits with you that are legendary over the years we've known each other, and they were equally big swings. And
not on this podcast.
Certainly not here. No.
Sometimes funny podcast.
If only people could see like the totality of our lives together over the years, they would see the funny parts.
You'd be impressed.
This is just a long decline, a sunset of our relationship right now. Is what you're witnessing.
Right.
Fascinating.
No, I completely agree. That's a really good point. Because if I'm being kind to myself, which is not my strong point, I think it would be I felt so much joy for them that I wanted to be a part of it. Yeah. And it came out in a way that was incredibly self-serving, but it wasn't supposed to be. It was kind of like, there was so much turmoil about the wedding. And then it was like, we're just going to do it. And for a bride, I don't want to stereotype brides, but for a bride to be so visibly happy of, screw it, we're just going to do it today. And because, there's so much tension and everything. And there was such a joyful response from everybody. I think part of me selfishly wanted some of that, but I also really wanted to be a part of it. And my way of doing that was trying something out it was that quick. It's not like I was like, should I say this? Yeah, I think I'm reading. It was like, I don't remember a thought process. As I said, when I was telling the story, for reasons I will never understand. Right. I just thought, this is the exact thing to say at this moment.
Yeah.
So
shiver.
I did. Totally. Yeah. Shiver. I did find there's a lot of stuff talking about it with people. I have brought it up to some of the people, the crazy, and the other friend. They assured me this is not something I should be thinking about.
They don't remember
anymore.
Right.
They do not remember it really. But then another thing that I really liked that, again, seems incredibly obvious, but it didn't occur to me. There was a study in 2021, just last year, that Megan E. Spear and colleagues printed, and it's called, this is a catchy title, this will be a real earworm for you, Finding Positive Meaning in Memories of Negative Events Adaptively updates memory. What?
Banger.
What it what it means? Yeah, is that by Lizzo? What they're saying is they found that attaching a positive meaning to a past negative experience can have long-lasting impact. In other words, by associating a positive experience with the memory included with the negative, you can change the context of that event and induce a positive feeling. I like that idea because guess what else happened at that wedding? So many funny memories. So many great memories. Memories that I was really a part of. Memories that I caused. Memories that I was just in the group for. All of those things. I'm going to try, because of the research that I did like this, every time I think of the I'm going to get married to, I'm going to think about the knife story.
Are you going to tell us the knife story? Is that going to be?
I'm going to tell you the knife story.
Okay, good. I really want this. Sounds like one I need to know.
This was I don't remember exactly where we were in Mexico, but you would take golf carts around. And we took it to the other side of the, let's say, island. And that's where all the locals live. And there was this one bar that was still open. And it was a little sketchy. Like we were clearly the only people like us there. And there was some rough clientele. They didn't seem to like that we were there, but they were happy to take our money. We were just outside drinking beer. And then at one point, someone went into the restroom and saw that in the wall next to the mirror of the restroom, there was a knife just stuck in the wall. Like a big, sharp, crazy knife just stuck in the wall. And everyone thought that was funny and weird. Anyways, crazy. And I came up with a plan. And I was in charge of maybe the riskiest part. We took the knife. The knife clearly didn't belong to anyone. We took the knife and we hid it. And then crazy. I guess I might as well say his name's Scott Lamb, friend of the show. He hid it in one of the girls' rooms. In their bathroom in the hotel. So we all came home from this crazy, scary bar where there was a knife in the wall, and they walked into their room and there was a knife waiting for them in their bathroom. And they legit freaked out and like ran out. And that's a great thing. How much fun is that? That's fun. Hiding knives.
If you're one of the girls in the wedding party and you get to meet, I guess, the police. I hear Mexican prisons are awesome this time of year.
I don't know. That was a beer decision. But either way, if I think of the wedding I'm getting married to, if I think of the knife story, which is a story we still tell to this day, guess what story we don't tell?
Yeah, right.
The one that I think about every week. So I'm going to try to pair that up and think about every time. I'm really going to try to do this. Whenever I think of one of my psychic scars, I'm going to find and remember something very adjacent to it that was super positive. And maybe if I can pair those up, I won't need to talk to myself as cosplaying as Freud as much.
Freud. You won't need Bonnie to do some dress up sessions for you.
She looks terrible in a beard.
Let me tell you, I wish more than anything after this conversation that I were getting married again. If I ever renew my vows, you're going to be there. And actually, to the community, whatsthatsmell.net. If you'd like Tommy to make an appearance at your wedding, fees are negotiable. Travel must be included.
And I have to be mic'd the entire time. Every thought is going to be loud.
Absolutely. Louse. It might sound a bit archaic now, antique, to call someone such a thing. A louse, according to Oxford, is a derogatory term for a contemptible or unpleasant person. Did your drunk uncle borrow money and blow it all on the ponies, never to pay you back? He did, eh? What a louse. A louse, of course, is also a bug, a small wingless parasite that lives on the skin of mammals and birds, and, as a parasite, it lives thanks to the nutrients it takes from that host mammal or bird. Or fish. Because there's one louse that is both parasitic and incredibly rude. It's Cymathoa exigua. This particular louse enters fish through the gills. The male of the species attaches to the gill arches behind the female. The female? Oh, they attach to the tongue, where they sever the blood vessels of the tongue, causing it to wither up and fall out. The louse then attaches itself to the tongue stub that remains and becomes the fish's new tongue, taking in the nutrients that enter through the fish's mouth. I want to be able to tell you that the fish eventually die, that the louse steals from it, robbing it of its vitality until it withers and dies like the tongue that came before it. But I can't. Weirdly, the fish are pretty much okay, not underweight, still very swimmy, as the scientists probably say. It just goes about its fishy business with a new relationship with its tongue. Such is the role of the tongue-eating louse, Cymothoa exigua. But that's not you, right? Sure, you could listen to the show for free like a real podcast-eating louse, but you want to do more, be more. So you've decided to become a Season 7 Panic Pal. For just $35, you're supporting independent podcasting. We don't track you. We don't collect information we need other than that which we need to send you member stuff. No advertising. Plus, members get to join us for our live stream recording sessions in our Discord member community. They get early access to each episode in your own personal podcast feed that also includes our entire trailer archive and complete member-only episodes that the public don't get to hear. Plus, our collection of new Season 7 stickers. Visit whatsthatsmell.net to learn more, and thank you for your support. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Pete.
We've already hashed this territory out before. We've already been down this particular road, but it's time for just an upgrade to this conversation. And I need to start by playing you a bit of an interview from a podcast. Okay, so I'm going to start kind of in the middle of the podcast, and I want you to see, like, I'm not even going to tell you who it is. I think you'll be able to, you'll recognize who it is, and listen to it, and then we'll talk about what they're talking about. Okay, are you ready?
Interesting. Ready.
All right.
Do you feel like you're glorifying technology too much, that you have a responsibility to promote the idea of being more in nature than having to go ahead and put implants in your face or whatever? Because there's some crazy fucker out there who's going to do it.
I think that we're right on the edge. Technology is a double-edged sword. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just that it's double-edged. Take the Human Genome Project, for instance. That was a huge double-edged sword. The medical payoff is going to be huge. But it's also going to be used by maybe some crazy paramilitary group that wants to create the super soldier of the future. I think we're on the good side of the line on that, not the bad side of the line. We have done a lot of things that people didn't think were good, and one of the things we've done is make it possible for most people in the industrialized world to own a computer. In 1985, it was hardly anyone. That makes us part of the problem. But it also makes us part of the solution because we can do a lot to help educate people about what's good. When I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, there was no way you could learn about computers. Computers were these big, crazy, expensive things. And today, kids are growing up in the world where there is a computer in every home, and that's a big change. And it isn't necessarily good or bad, just different, and what we want to do is help people make the most of whatever future comes. We always ask ourselves, what is the most insanely great thing we could do? And if we can't think of that, then we do something less. If we do this, we have to do it right, because both the positive and negative aspects of our products get magnified as they get more powerful. It will be interesting to see what happens when you have computers that are as smart as people, but much more reliable. They won't get tired, they won't get sick, they won't go on vacation and leave work unfinished. You tell them to do something, they'll just do it. And they will have many more orders of intelligence than people have. The computer will be 1,000 times more important than it is today. We're right on the edge of that. So what do we want to do about it? Do we want to just ride the wave or do something else?
It kind of scares me, to be honest.
It should scare you. But it is also really cool. That's the best way I can describe it. It's really, really cool.
That's the good news and the bad news. It's both.
Yeah, that's how most of life is, though. If it was just awesome, it wouldn't be balanced by something else.
All right. I do not know who that was.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was Joe Rogan and Steve Jobs.
Oh, I thought it was J.K. Rowling, but I get it. Yes. Okay. So yes,
have you heard that before?
No, not at all.
You haven't heard that clip? Okay.
No, and I got scared when he said putting things in people's faces.
Yeah, well, that's Joe Rogan, right?
That's Joe Rogan. Okay.
He kind of
I don't think I've ever actually listened to Joe Rogan. I don't think I knew what he.
One does not listen to Joe Rogan; they just absorb him. Just as part of my identity.
Yeah.
So you get the idea. I mean, like, technology is awesome. We're on the verge of greatness, and right. I mean, did you get anything else out of that clip as you're listening to it? I watched you listen to it. You were listening very closely.
I was. Well, no, when he was, of course, because I'm me, when he was like, at some point we might make a horrible super soldier that never goes on vacation and never stops eating your throat. And I'm like, yep, that's where that's what I'm always afraid of, that side of it, because I just don't, you can't trust everyone all the time. You can trust the majority of people. But again, if one person makes a super soldier that never goes on vacation and never stops eating people, that's it. So yes, I get scared about that stuff, that we move so fast.
I regret just a little bit that you said we cannot trust anyone, because I now have
everyone.
To,
I said
everyone. We cannot trust everyone, right? Because I now have to pull back the curtain and tell you that I have been tricking you.
What?
Yeah, Joe Rogan never interviewed Steve Jobs.
No, is it a deep fake?
Yeah. This week, a company by the name of Play.ht released the first episode of their new podcast, Podcast.ai, which is two completely fake people using their synthesized voices talking to one another.
No! Why? We talked about deep fakes before. Remember, we played that one clip where the scientist that was coming up with it in real time is like, oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Wait, why?
That's why I'm bringing this back.
What's the point of that?
Well, that, I think, Tom, we should leave that hanging, because I think that is the point of our conversation. What's the point of this?
Why would we? Is someone, wait, God. As far as you know, did someone write out what they say? So that's not clips of things that they've said to other people.
Right.
That's completely automatically engineered.
Well, you asked that question, and so what I played you is near the end of the podcast, and you have to admit that sounds pretty cogent. Like, that fooled you.
Not once did I question the legitimacy of that.
Yeah. So I normally I don't want to play so many things that were from another show, but I want to play now the beginning of it for you, because the beginning, it's a little rough.
So you can sort of tell. Okay, that's funny.
Hello, freak bitches. Welcome to another episode of the Bro Jogan Experience. And on this episode, I welcome my friend who's difficult to describe. I'm fascinated by him, and I hope you will be too. And he is weird and brilliant, and sometimes totally insufferable. But my guest today has made some of the great technological products of our age, and he's always pushing the envelope in innovation. Like, for example, with his next computer, he developed a new programming language and operating system, and then he became even more famous for making 3 applications for that computer. Word processor, a spreadsheet, and an image editor. That just showed me that this dude was brilliant, had amazing taste, and I would just hope that I could be even like 1/10 of the genius that my friend today is. And I can't even say his name, so yeah. So super psyched about having him in the house today. First time, we've had you on before, but not for a long time. You're like Patrick Swayze and I'm Demi Moore in Ghost. You're a memory from the past. So without further ado, my friend who is difficult to describe and wonderful, and I'm so grateful he came on the show.
How's it going? Good to see you, buddy. It's been a long time since I've been on the show. I've missed this. It's always fun.
How's it going? Come on, tell me about Jobs. It's always good to see you, buddy. I'm so happy you came on, man.
Yeah, it's great to be on the show. Your audience is just so different from your normal Apple users, and that's a good thing. It's cool.
Yeah, that's much more of a shallow fake.
yeah. But I said that was, so you take that and then you scrub forward just like 14 minutes.
Yeah.
And you have a question and answer that are completely legit. Like, right. I can see the wandering mind of Steve Jobs. Now, so they took their AI and they trained the AI by feeding it thousands of hours of Joe Rogan interviews, right? His podcasts. And so they have the cadence and the banter of his introductions and the way he speaks and the way he asks questions. And then they took the text of Walter Isaacson's book, Jobs, right? The book that he he wrote, and they fed that to the AI. And then they found all of the, like any YouTube videos of Steve Jobs, him talking during keynote presentations, and they fed that to the AI. And they came out with these identities, these personalities. The company Play.ht, they're based in Dubai, and this is what they do. They create voices, and this is their gimmick, right? This podcast is them demonstrating their ability to create custom characters for you. For your use. Yeah.
Well, because that didn't, except for like the laughter and some of the
it gets so much worse
phrases
too.
and Patrick Swayze and stuff like that. That didn't sound fake. It sounded poorly or over edited.
Yeah,
all the air is gone. And so in between sentences, it sounds like someone just took out any pauses.
Yeah,
but
and they took out all room noise, right? Like there's
Right.
no general hiss or white noise underneath it. Yeah.
I hate that so much. I don't understand. I talked about we were talking to our dead relatives. I don't think, I'm having trouble thinking what is the good that is going to come out of that. Granted, we are so awash, or at least I feel we are so awash in misinformation and disinformation that, and Roger Stone just recently saying that a video of him talking on the phone was all fake. People believe that just because you can say fake. And this is we're not going to be able to trust our ears or eyes. And it's just going to be a get out of jail free card, literally, for people.
Yeah, I think so. And I so there are so many, we've talked about, the video or the image, like DALL-E and all that. And now Meta, Facebook parent company Meta, has Make a Video AI that they've added to the mix. And now they can create by text description. You can write a text description and they can create videos now, not audio,
not just images,
but video. So do you want a bear teaching school children? You can have a bear at the head of a class teaching math. Do you want a dog licking an ice cream
not just
cone?
A picture?
It's a video, not just a picture. How about two people walking in the rain under an umbrella? Well, as you can imagine, the image is two people under an umbrella, but the umbrella has no post. It's just floating above their heads, and the people are connected at the shoulders. They both have only one arm on the outside. They've been like munged together, and they're walking down a rainy street. So,
that's good. That gives me
they're
heart.
working on it. Yeah, they're working on it. But the problem is it's getting really good. And the reason I want to talk about it today is because I want to make sure that you agree that this podcast is not going to be reproduced by this dumb company in Dubai. And they're coming for our jobs, man. We've already talked about your job is over. Like making movies by AI is done, right? Luke Skywalker, young Luke Skywalker ended your career. Now they're coming for podcasting. And I said nothing about it when it was Luke Skywalker. And now they're coming for me and there's no one left to speak, right? I know I'm butchering. That probably means something somewhere else completely different. And so it is crazy. So one more thing. The company PlayHT, they are a text-to-voice generation tool. You can pay right now. You could pay $14.25 per month to get up to 240,000 generated words using their standard voices. For $30 a month, you can use their realistic voices. And for $75 a month, you get ultra-realistic voices. And the samples are unreal.
Really?
All the things you said about the air being sucked out of the room, right? And the cutting the breaths, those are back in the ultra realistic voices. And you've got British people and they're talking about Elon Musk and how awesome he is. And he's really you can hear all of the sounds of the mouth in these ultra realistic voices. It's creepy. It is so creepy. 132 languages, 832 voices. And if you need it, call for a quote on custom voice cloning. Yeah. So that's why their podcast, they're talking about, they're taking pitches for what episodes you want to hear next.
But it's a fake person talking to a fake person. Why would you want to hear that?
Because you want to hear Buddha and Einstein interviewing one another? Or that's trending right now. Or Trump interviewing himself. That's trending. Elon Musk interviewing Nikola Tesla. Joe Rogan mediating peace between the U.S. and Russia. And trending also because, I guess, humanity, Jesus interviewing God.
Well, oh, shoot. There is some interest in that.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
get it. I didn't think about it historically, like people that cannot speak being able
Steve
to
Jobs. I
speak.
mean, this came out this week, and Steve Jobs died years ago.
Oh, I didn't even consider that. Wait, I listened to that entire interview. Oh, I didn't know it
That's
was
what
Steve
I was
Jobs at the time.
hoping. You
Right.
didn't know it was Steve Jobs, and that you would have thought it was an artifact of history. That's what
I think
was
I
hoping
must
for.
have,
That
because he
was
just
what
said
the trick should have
his
been.
new computer coming out this week. There was no real dates. Okay, good.
Right.
So I feel better about myself. I didn't think about the historical thing, but
Here's an interesting one. So we've talked about Reese Beecher.
wait, this company's in Dubai?
This company is in Dubai, right?
Can I make a joke?
Please.
More like don't buy. All right.
Okay.
That wasn't me,
other
that was
company,
AI.
yeah. The other company that we have talked about before, Reese Beecher, is the company that is behind taking existing voice samples and recreating voices. They're used in all kinds of Hollywood productions. And Lucas uses the Lucasfilm, and Disney obviously use them a lot. They're the ones that took Luke Skywalker's young voice, modeled with Mark Hamill, and created the voice of young Luke Skywalker for the latest season of The Mandalorian. So they're everywhere already. They're doing this work. And they're a Ukrainian-based company, and their latest pitch is actually really interesting. And this is so I'm all up in arms about all this stuff, about, oh my God, they're coming for me. And then I see this pitch.
Okay.
Famous people recording videos in support of Ukraine. Right. So this is their PR pitch, a Ukrainian company. They're saying, hey, if you're a famous person, turn on your camera, record a video of you, and you are saying a message of peace to the people of Ukraine. Stand up for support for Ukraine. And in the middle of the video, it switches from the actor speaking to the actor speaking in Ukrainian. You get it? They take the actor's own voice and remodel it in a different language so that actor is now speaking Ukrainian.
No.
Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I was impacted by that. Like, I was watching some of these sample videos, and I found myself really moved. It is a different sense, and I didn't like that about myself. I didn't like that I found myself even a little bit tugged at the old heartstrings.
I mean, my gut is, if I saw it, I might feel differently. I may have had more of a knee-jerk reaction, but my gut is learn Ukrainian. No, I'm not joking. Like, if you're like, get a phonetic translation of the few sentences that you're saying, just because authenticity.
Yeah.
Aren't you stripping it of all of its authenticity if you're changing the actual words coming out of your mouth?
But aren't you?
Chris Tucker.
And how can a person who isn't actually doing the speaking be sure that what is being translated is actually being spoken, right? Like,
that's another reason to learn Ukrainian.
That Ukrainian might be saying, I'm a boanthropic and I like to eat grass, right? Like, who knows? So I know, but you get what I'm saying, though. Like, that is the part that drove me crazy about my experience watching it.
Because that's such a positive
my head
idea.
was blowing up that this shouldn't be happening right now, and yet it is. And I'm moved by it. I didn't like that about myself.
Do you know who? I'm trying to make some sort of thought about that. The celebrities that did that Imagine video, the John Lennon, all rich celebrities singing, would blame it on AI now. They'd be like, that wasn't us.
That is a big question that I have for you, because we have this going both ways. Like, I said, I have somebody created a deep fake of me, and I'm coming out in the press and saying that's a deep fake. Don't trust that.
Right.
On the other side, saying something really stupid and then coming back and saying that was a deep fake. Like, even though you said it for real, because we've shaken the foundation of trust in what can be communicated, we can go both ways. And that's the Roger Stone of it all. Exactly right. That's the Roger Stone of it all. Yeah. It's terrible. So I think the third piece, is now that this exists, and I'm looking at the Facebook, or the Meta AI research, and I'm looking at, Meta and Instagram, and then I look at the competition with TikTok, and there is some part of me that sees these companies and wonders if they don't just wish they didn't have to worry about the creator economy. Like, wouldn't it be great if they could just take what people are watching and create 10 bazillion meme videos and not have to monetize any of them at all because they're all
literal
created in-house.
Content.
It's a content farm, right?
Yes.
That's all they do is create, and that is a thing that I think scares me the most. So, am I worried that podcasting is going to go away as a business? Yeah, I guess not really. I feel like there's always going to be room for, people like us to be human beings. But I don't like the fact that we'll probably be competing with,
with Jesus talking to God.
Jesus talking to God. Yeah.
What are you listening to this week? Oh, Pete and Tom. How about you? The Son of our Lord. Jeez. That's a tough one.
Steve Jobs and John Lennon's dog are actually talking to one another on the state of the universe.
Who's on Smartless this week? Christ. Special guest Christ.
Oh Live from Egypt, Tutankhamun has returned from the ages.
To what? WTS? No, WTF. He'd go on Mark Maron.
He'd go on Mark Maron. Right, right. So, what the biggest problem with all of this, Tom, that only just occurred to me is that we're asking people to become Panic Pals for $35 a season. But for $30 a month, you could subscribe and recreate Pete and Tom yourself using ultra realistic voices.
Oh, no.
And you can make us say whatever the hell you want. And save $5 for a coffee.
Save $5, and I said so many horrible things at that wedding, Pete. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think we nailed this one.
Thank you all so much for joining us for this episode. This week's tune is Midnight Hour by Raw. Coming up next week.
Well, I think more people need to repudiate Dasani, for one.
Okay, so we take down
no
Dasani.
Way that you take it first. Step one, fight aliens.
Okay.
Stop Dasani's influence.
No more Dasani. Number 2, elective probing.
Yeah.
We just get all...
You gotta be elective. That's important.
Yeah, we really lean into it. One way that your mind can maybe synthesize that is, oh no, it's a punch fight. They're going to hit you with a great big punch, and then good luck.
Good day for science. And, as it is with every day, if you're depressed, yet another lousy day for depression.
You know who also it's a good day for? Textbook publishers. Cha-ching! Rewrites!
Until then, I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Tommy Metz III. Thank you so much for downloading. We'll be back next week on What's That Smell? Oh, that's good.